in helping develop the commercial law system in the Emirates.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
All things.
Oh. Wonderful.
Oh, okay. Marvin Krisloff was in my class.
Marvin Krisloff.
Yeah, we were in the same class.
Who became a college president.
He's at Pace, right here, literally 4 blocks away.
Well, let me tell you, I was a trustee of my college for years, which is Lafayette College.
Okay.
And and I chaired the search committee. It yielded Dan Weiss, from the
Yeah.
but Marvin Krisloff was one of the candidates.
Okay. Yeah, he's. Well, matter of fact, I just saw him last week. Yeah. And we it was totally random. I had not seen Marvin. He went to, I think he was at Michigan. He was chancellor at Michigan. And I hadn't seen him for a couple of decades. And then I was here and got a notice that there was a reception for the new president of Pace, Marvin Krisloff. So I just showed up at the reception and we rekindled our friendship, and we see each other fairly regularly, and we actually do work together too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. When they, what was it, Patty? They had the garage collapse. Part of the garage collapse.
Yeah, nearby.
Over there.
Right next door that you got some of their classrooms.
No, no one was hurt. We allowed them to hold classes here. And he's a great guy. Great guy.
I can also tell you that for a few years I worked for an international telecom company called an international record carrier, and boring work. But I loved living in New York for a couple of years. And our offices were at 60 Broad.
Oh, okay.
And so I made.
Did you live down here?
No, I lived up on the Upper East Side.
Okay.
In a one-bedroom pre-war apartment, and the rent was $575 a month.
Not anymore.
And my
Don't say that
father
out loud.
from Richmond said
Look,
to me,
really.
"Are you crazy for paying that much in rent? Buy something." Anyway, so I would make my way over here for noonday services.
Oh, okay.
Frequently.
What year would this have been?
I think Lloyd was here, Lloyd Kaysen.
So late 80s?
No,
Late
early
90s.
70s, late 70s.
Oh, Lord,
Late-
yes.
Yes, late 70s.
Late 70s.
Late 70s.
Yep.
And I happened in one day on Ascension Day.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Well, that's our big day.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know why? That's the date that they consecrated the third church, this one here. And that's become our kind of symbolic birthday.
I see.
And so we have, to this day, that's the big day. We have the vestry comes, and they're involved in the service, and then we have a big vestry dinner afterwards. It's a big deal for us.
My church in Washington, St. John's Lafayette Square,
Oh, okay.
which I like very much.
Yeah. Great parish.
Yes,
One of the
it
great
is.
parishes
Yeah.
in the United States. Yep.
Yeah. It got us up in the news from
Yeah.
former president.
Yep.
The Obamas would come regularly.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, and for your time here, and thank you for making this possible. What we have done over the course of time is that when I say to people, this archive, which started 20 years ago, was designed to chronicle the history of blacks in the Episcopal Church. And people immediately laugh at me and say, "What, all 3 of you?" I said, "No, there are at least 10, and we punch above our weight." Thank you. So
No comment. on
right,
that.
exactly. But it's been an absolute joy to do this work, and I've taken some wonderful oral histories, and I'll share one with you. Thurgood Marshall Jr.
Wow.
I said, after Thurgood, I have a picture. Of course, it was before his father died. It was Goody. Now his father's gone, it's Thurgood. He said, I have a picture of your dad receiving a medal from the vestry and the ward
At St. Philip's.
of St. Philip's in Harvard.
I've seen that picture.
And he said, "I love that picture." I said, "How so?" He said, "Well, it shows my dad in a humble posture." I didn't see that very often. also Paulie Murray's
Okay.
niece.
Is she up there? Or you did an oral history?
I did an oral history.
Okay.
And she, so when did you first know that your Aunt Paulie was so important? And she said, well, she took me to lunch at Eleanor.
That was a tip-off.
You're from Chicago.
Yes.
Tell me about your childhood in Chicago.
My father was a dentist, and my mother was a homemaker. I have two brothers, one older, one younger.
The middle child.
My older brother is 17 months older than I am, and my younger brother is 7 years. So my older brother and I were very like almost like twins, like Irish twins, kind of.
Did you compete?
No, because physically I've always been bigger than he is, so I've always kind of looked after him, and from our earliest days I've always felt that very close to him in that way. He's also the smartest man I've ever met. So
where is he now?
He's in Chicago. He's a cardiologist in Chicago. Yeah. And we grew up, I was born at Michael Reese Hospital, which is on the near south side. And we lived there. My father grew up in Chicago. My mom grew up in Georgia. And she was sent north to live with her relatives in the late 40s, early 50s.
You know where in Georgia?
Bainbridge. And so my parents actually met at a Baptist picnic, a church picnic. They both came with other people.
In Georgia?
No, in Chicago.
Okay.
After she'd come up. And they, back in those days, so they met probably in, we think, June, July. They were married New Year's Eve that same year. They didn't play back then, right? And we lived on the near south side until I was 7. In Lake Meadows it was called till I was 7. We moved to another house on the near south side, and my parents sent us, all three of us, to a white prep school, kind of artsy prep school called Francis Parker, which was on the near north side. And
why did they do that?
it was actually because they wanted us to get the best education that we could. You'll hear a theme, and we'll probably get into it, where education was the primary value for my parents, and its ability to obviously to instruct and prepare for, let's say, education, but more importantly to prepare the mind. And my parents were, particularly my dad, was very insistent on us getting a good education. He was not a stern man. He was actually quite, looking back on it, now that I'm older now, he passed away of prostate cancer 12 years ago. But he was a remarkably urbane and hilarious man. He would eventually build the largest black dental practice in Chicago. And then when, in 1980, he was faced with the decision. His practice was on the south side, on 47th and Cottage Grove, and in a south side bank building. And he got an opportunity to move downtown to Michigan Avenue and get a 18th floor office. And I remember, because I was 17 at the time, and I remember Dad.
What year was this about?
1980.
1980.
Yeah, and I remember Dad just being really anxious about whether or not he should do it, because his practice was largely black city workers and black professionals, okay? And he thought that if he moved up to downtown that they wouldn't come anymore. Well, he decided to bite the bullet and do it, and he turned out to be absolutely wrong. They loved going there. And not only that, not only did it keep his practice together, it expanded quite exponentially. That was like a real turning point for him, watching him go through that. So my brothers and I went to this Francis Parker School. It was kindergarten. You could go kindergarten through 12th grade.
Oh, wonderful.
And we started, all of us, when Scott came along, he did too, started at 4 and graduated at 18. And it was kind of, a day, a kind of urban, wealthy day school, but it was kind of artsy. And we were a little flaky.
What do you mean by that?
It was not all just learning from books, with the idea that you're going to get into college. It was much more artsy and it's sort of free spirited. It encouraged a kind of exploration and free spiritedness. We did not receive grades for the entire time. There were no grades. We would get these long write-ups from each of our teachers, but no grades, which made, when it came time for college, we were all kind of worried about that. But it turns out the major colleges knew what a Francis Parker student was like.
Yeah.
And so that didn't turn out to be much of a problem.
Yeah.
But I didn't get my first grade until Amherst.
Did your older brother go to Amherst as well?
No, he went to Harvard.
Went to Harvard.
Yeah.
Your younger brother?
Went to Williams, unfortunately.
Oh, my goodness.
But he still did all right.
Okay. Only second-rate school. When I listened to a talk that you gave, and you mentioned at Amherst having met James Baldwin.
Yes.
And I could tell by the way you spoke of Baldwin that you have an appreciation for literature.
Yes.
And that you read a lot.
They would tell you, yeah, probably. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
There are a couple reasons why. First of all, my background. My parents read books all throughout our house, our school. We read all kinds of texts very early on, and I enjoy reading. I just love reading, and if I can put a little professional twist to it, I do not think one, in the Episcopal Church at least, can aspire to being a decent preacher without reading widely.
Amen.
And I think,
thank you.
Yeah, I'll just stop there. Yeah,
right.
You get it.
Right.
Yes.
I'm not ordained. Just got a theology degree,
Mm-hmm.
but I do preach, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
You are a better teacher than I am, and you teach with conversational tone, which I think is so very effective. When you were at Amherst, was there a black member of the faculty named Henry Rowan by any chance?
No. We had one. Well, we had several, but the man I was closest to was a historian from Wilberforce, whose name I cannot remember now. This just happens to me more and more as I get older.
Well, guess what?
Hmm.
It will continue.
I'm sorry.
Okay. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
And if you think of it 2 o'clock in the morning, please.
I'm
not kidding. When did you go right to law school?
Yes, I went straight through.
Was that a good thing?
It was dumb to go straight through. It was dumb. But this was the day, like if I had gone to my pops and said I want a gap year,
And traveled.
He'd have thought I had lost my mind.
Absolutely.
But I did it anyway, after law school.
I see. Oh, good for you.
But I would have done it. I should have done it then.
Yeah, when I was in a big law firm and I was on the hiring committee, and I can tell you that the best candidates were always those students. And I knew at the moment I stepped into my first law school class.
Yeah.
I did that because I had nothing else better to do.
Right.
But and why law?
Because in my household growing up, you had a choice of being a doctor or a lawyer. And I don't at all mean to give the impression that was some sort of tyranny of my father. No, we all bought in.
Well, some of us.
Yeah, right. We all bought in, and my brother was a scientist. My older brother's a scientist.
Yeah, your younger brother did what?
He's a judge now in Oakland, California.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he and we did not have the science gene.
Uh-huh.
We went law.
Uh-huh. And did you like law school?
I did not like it from almost the first day, and wondered what I was doing.
Why?
I don't want to use language that I wouldn't have used then, but I will, which is my vision of the practice of law and what I could do. So, for example, in college, my senior year, I wrote my thesis on Charles Hamilton Houston, who was an Amherst class of 15, and his development of the litigation strategy that led to Brown v. Board. Okay. And then picking up sort of on that strain with another character, which was Thurgood Marshall. In law school at Yale, I wrote my third year paper on Marshall's dissents in death penalty cases. And that kind of litigation so much excited me, and it was so dead by the time I got to law school. And by dead, I mean those big cases were kind of done, and things had kind of switched a little bit.
Would you say that now? No, that's off the topic.
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Yeah. One of my dear friends was Vernon Jordan, who spoke often of going to Howard's Law School and recognizing and being in the moot courtroom and standing on the periphery when those giants were doing their moot court.
Yeah.
And how much they learned from them.
Yes.
And that all of the great legal pioneering work was being done at Howard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was Charles Hamilton Houston,
Absolutely.
who took the law school there and made it into a civil rights giant. That's why I wrote my thesis on. One, because he was an Amherst grad, and who went through, this is maybe aside from what we're doing, but one of the things that really got me about his life was that when he was at Amherst, he went through all 4 years by himself as the only black student on campus. On campus. He wasn't allowed to join a sports team. He wasn't allowed to be in one of the frats. He was sort of by himself. And he graduated number 1 in his class. And so, which is why, I'm back now. I'm a trustee at Amherst now. And one of the things, when I hear kids, kind of whine about it, you don't know.
You hurt my feelings? All right.
So,
what was your non-academic life like at Amherst?
At Amherst, mostly sport. I didn't play on a sport, but I was a big athlete.
Yeah.
I went in, I played 3 sports in high school, soccer, basketball, and baseball. And wanted to play baseball particularly, that's my favorite. But I was so focused on getting into law school, like everything, and this is one thing I regret about my time at Amherst, which I loved, but that I was so strategic about getting into law school that I organized my classes and everything to get to sort of make sure that nothing distracted me from that. Now, mind you, I was a knucklehead too. 18 to 22, I was an absolute knucklehead.
Sure.
But pretty much sports and schoolwork.
Can we talk about your spiritual life up to that point?
Yeah, 0.
How do you
pretty
explain
much
that?
0. And like I said, in my household, my parents, turns out later in life, they both exposed, like after I became a priest, it sort of allowed them to kind of open up a little bit. My father in particular. But no, we were Unitarians growing up in Chicago, and we were bad Unitarians. We just never went. We never went to church. I take that back. Early on, we'd go to Easter maybe Christmas at the Unitarian Church.
Unitarians
But-
celebrate Easter?
It's some form of, usually I just remember like doing
Yeah.
crayons or something like
Yeah.
that.
I could be a Unitarian, but for the music, frankly. Now, you went to Honolulu,
Yes,
your first job.
yes.
Well, obviously, one would like the environs of Honolulu, but it was something other than the
Well,
climate.
I told you that I should have taken a gap year between
I got it, right.
college
Okay.
and law. So when I graduated from law school, I decided to take a gap year. The first thing I tried to do is I went back, and I'll never forget going back on spring break to Chicago, my senior year, my third year, and waiting. I came up with this idea that I was going to teach at a Chicago public school, high school. I wanted to teach for 2 years because I had done this program at Yale called street law. You remember that? Did you? Yeah. And I did that.
We
for
had one of those.
I did that for 2 years and really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and could see like how much the kids needed somebody. Anyways,
And to see the expressions change.
yes, yes,
The light go on.
yeah, and yes, and how deadening most of what they got was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember cold calling, going down to the Chicago Board of Ed, and asking if I could like talk to the person in charge of that, and like totally just like going, introduce myself to the woman at the desk and waiting, and like for an hour, and then they kind of let me in. I said, well, I told them who I was, and I was about to graduate from Yale Law School, and could I teach for 2 years, and I was willing to do it without pay, all this kind of stuff. And they said, well, do you have your teacher's certificate? I said, well, no, but I've had some good teachers, right? They said, well, you need your teacher's certificate. So I was kind of disappointed about that. Meanwhile, I had accepted a job with the firm that I did my second year internship with, clerkship with. That was Mayor Brown and Platt. And
In Chicago.
In Chicago. My dream was, when I went into law school, was to work for someone, and really Mayor Brown we had a neighbor who was a partner at Mayor Brown, and I just loved them and their thing. And my dream was kind of to work for them for a while. And then it was also, don't forget, it was the time when Harold Washington was elected mayor in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I was kind of interested in politics in Chicago and getting involved in politics. But I was tired after law school. So I accepted, back in the late 80s, you could do this. I accepted the job, permanent job at Mayor Brown, and they'd give you a year to show up as long as you took and passed the bar. So I said, I'll take the year, and I was going to do this teaching thing. That that was not going to happen. And so I said, maybe I'll actually my first plan was to go out to Thailand and just like live on a beach.
Yes.
Like a beach seemed very appealing to me.
Yes.
So I bought a plane ticket to Honolulu as my first stop, and got there and loved it. Of course, Honolulu, even in 1988, is incredibly expensive. So I realized after a month, as money was running out, that I wanted to stay there for that year. So I got a job selling sporting goods at a sporting goods store, making $4 an hour.
Oh.
And after 2 weeks, I got my paycheck and realized that I just wasn't going to make it. And so I'm 22, mind you. I was like, whoa, okay. So I started looking in the newspaper for legal jobs. I thought, okay, maybe I can be a paralegal. There was a small boutique litigation firm that was looking for a paralegal. And I sent them a letter, and it was almost comical in that, almost like as soon as I put the materials in the mailbox, he called. I mean, it wasn't obviously, there was a day or two, but the head partner called and said, so you're in Honolulu now? I said, yeah. He said, you went to Yale Law School? I said, yeah. He said, Yale Law School? I said, yeah. Guess why don't you come in and talk to us? So I went and talked to them, and they said, after a while, they said, listen, instead of being a paralegal, how about you come on as an associate? So they hired me to be an associate, paid for me to take the bar.
Yeah.
Davis and Levin was the firm. Two guys that had, one from New York and one from Oklahoma City, who had started and run legal aid in Honolulu back in the early 70s. And then they stayed on and went into private practice. Half of our firm, there were 5 of us, half of the firm did med mal and half did commercial litigation. I was on the commercial litigation side. Yeah, so that's how I ended up, and that's how I ended up staying there.
They're good people.
Great people.
Did you meet your future wife there?
I did not. I met her in seminary. Yeah.
All right. So.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get there. But I'll tell you something, that I have a rule, it seems, that one never cries alone.
No.
So when I listened to your talk, and you mentioned that you were baptized at the age of 27.
Yes.
And your voice caught. And you mentioned how important it was. And clearly you were verklempt, as
Yes.
they say. I'm getting verklempt as well. It's one of the things that happened to me. What happened?
Well, so I'm practicing law in Honolulu. And it became, after about 3 years, and I loved the guys in my firm. They were terrific mentors and great lawyers, big hearts. But it was becoming apparent to me that that whatever questions I was looking to have answered, law was not the vehicle that they would be answered. And that whatever ills people had, law was essentially about redistributing money, it seemed to me. And that it was often apparent that money was the last thing that people we were serving needed to be made whole. And I couldn't, I mean, I'm using fancy language now, but there was just something inside of me that was not really jiving. And
were you articulating it at the time or feeling it?
Just feeling it, just feeling it. And I'm like 26, right? And I remember I had a deposition up at the University of Hawaii, and I'm feeling this kind of inner kind of feeling. And I'm sorry, before that, I was just feeling this kind of like, gee, and then out of nowhere, something inside of me just said, well, maybe you should go to church. And since I'm a churchgoer, I looked at the Unitarian Church in Honolulu, which happened to be within walking distance of where I lived. So I went there the next Sunday, and it just didn't, whatever it was I was searching for was not there. So I went back to work, and I had this deposition the next week up at the University of Hawaii. And I'm driving back downtown, and I'm at this stoplight, and something inside of me just said, no, you want to go there. And I looked around, and to my left, I can still be, to my left was St. Clement's Episcopal Church, Holy Eucharist, Sunday, 10 a.m. I knew what none of that meant except Sunday, 10 a.m. So I went the next week. I went and never left. Never left. It was the rector at the time, actually he was interim rector, was a man named John Bright, who I just visited. He's 96 now. He just turned 96. He's in Portland, Oregon. Just saw him this summer to say goodbye. And he's a Dartmouth grad, and I just loved the way he preached. And he just seemed so sane to me, and yet religious, and took his religion very seriously, and it was very appealing to me. And I would sit in the back, so for like 3 weeks I sat in the back. Finally he comes up to me and he says, so who are you? What are you doing here? You know, because I was like the youngest by several decades, and not quite, maybe 2. And he said, and I told him who I was, and he said, huh. And he took me out to lunch, and we became kind of close, and he said, you know, maybe you want to take the baptism class. And because back in those days, remember when you couldn't take communion until you had been baptized, which I still don't think is a bad thing. Because, and I'll tell you why, a kid, I know the arguments are that people feel excluded. I never felt that way at all. Matter of fact, I felt like if that's what they need me to do, if that's what they're asking of me, then I'm willing to do that. It seemed to me rather an honor to do, to be part of this community, to do what they needed me to do.
Can I ask you one question before we go?
Sure.
What do you think was happening to you when you stopped at that stoplight and looked over there? What do you think was
I think God was speaking to me, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So I started the baptism classes, and meanwhile, a young family, young family, they had 3 kids, a black family, sort of adopted me because I was a young guy, and they'd have me over for dinner and stuff. And they used to give me books to read, and they gave me John Stott's Basic Christianity to read. I was reading through that, and then one afternoon, I finished the section, there's a chapter on the atonement, and went out and I used to hike, and I lived up in the mountains above Honolulu, and I was taking a hike, and at one point during that hike, for about, 20 minutes, 15, God gave me the mystical experience of understanding at the very cellular level of me that Jesus in fact died for my sins. And I gave him, I can get verklempt right now. I remember I said in my heart, I said, Lord, whatever you need me to do, I will always do it. I give you my whole self. And no one was around. Literally, I was all by myself. But I said, made that vow that I will do whatever you want me to do. And I was like crying and it was quite remarkable. And I told Father Bright about it, and he said, you've had a mystical experience. I knew none of what that meant. I wouldn't know till years later in seminary, a couple years later. This was that would have happened in maybe November, December of 90, I think. And then I finished the class and was baptized. And Father John said to me, I was talking to him, he said, so what's going on? What are you doing? And I said, well, I just don't know about this law thing. I think I'd like to do something different. And he said, like what? And I said, well, I was thinking maybe investment banking or PR or advertising or something. And he said, yeah, that would be hugely different. You bet. He had a nice sense of humor like that. And he said, what would you like to do? And I said, what you do up there looks like a lot of fun. And he says, yes, you're going to be a priest. 2 weeks after I was baptized by the bishop, who was out for confirmations, we were in his office, sitting across.
The bishop's office.
The bishop's office, sitting across from him like this, me and John Bright. And Bishop said, so what's up?
What was the bishop's name?
Donald Hart. And Father John says, well, Bishop, I think Phil has a call to ministry, the priesthood. And Bishop said, quite wisely, looked at me and he said, didn't I just baptize you? I said, yes, indeed. Yes, sir. And he said, huh? He said, why don't you go be an Episcopalian for a couple of years and then come back and see me and we'll talk about that, which seemed to be very reasonable. So I went back and was practicing law. And one day one night before going to bed, I was saying my prayers, and I just, that prayer I had made out on the mountain, I said, Lord, look, just just let me know what you want me to do and I'll do it, whatever it is. And no joke.
But before you had developed a prayer life.
Yes. Yeah.
Did that start almost immediately after?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Matter of fact, at my lunch break, I used to go to the cathedral downtown where our office was close to, and I'd go to mass there and then I'd stay and pray.
Okay.
With the Psalms.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I said, Lord, just let me know. I'll do whatever you want me to do. No joke. The next day, the bishop's secretary called me at the office and said, Phil, can you come in and see the bishop tomorrow? And I said, okay, sure. So next day I went in, and it's just me and him this time. And he said, I'd like to talk about you becoming a priest. I've changed my mind. And I was baptized in January, beginning of February, and I entered seminary in September.
What changed his mind?
I don't know to this day.
Okay.
Never asked.
Okay. And I hope we'll have a chance to get, we don't have blood. We'll have a chance to get to this. But where you are today, and looking back over from that beginning, it sounds that you were indeed touched by the hand of God. See that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
You said in your talk that it was the most important thing that ever happened to you.
Yes. How can it not be?
Okay.
How can it not to just taste the divine? Just even the faintest bit. How can it not? How can it not? Yeah.
What did you see when you decided to go to seminary? Why did you go to that seminary?
Because it was closest to Hawaii.
Okay. And how was that experience?
It was deep. I mean, intellectually, it was easy.
Yeah.
It was no problem.
Right.
But then, by my first summer, I realized that's not why I was there. I was there to learn to use this a little bit more than this, because I spent my life up here. He apparently wanted me to learn how to exercise this muscle, which was flaccid and underused. And that's what seminary really was for me, was the beginning of learning to use my heart.
Are you still learning?
Oh, yeah. There's my witness over there. She'll tell you I'm still learning. Yes, absolutely.
What gets fed?
When I do that? Or when?
Well, rationality, emotion, which one predominates?
Oh, wow. I would like to believe that I have more of a synthesis, but I will always lead. My first instinct will always be to lead with this, until sometimes, I guess I've gotten better with age of saying, hold on.
Yeah.
Maybe start here.
Yeah. Did you have a vision for your future in the church at the time?
Yes.
What was that?
I wanted my own little church, and I wanted a black church, and that's what I got. That's what I got. No, this was my first church.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a black church.
No,
it ain't little.
No, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I wanted my own. I was Mr. kind of liberation theology, and wanted to grow the black church. And
right. Was James Cone reading?
Yes.
Reading James
Yes,
Cone
sir.
at the time? Yeah.
Yep.
And so, was it that in Houston?
Yep.
What church?
Incarnation, it was called.
Church of the Incarnation.
So I met, speak of the devil, my second great mentor, who was a trustee at CDSP, Claude Payne. He changed my life too. We met, he was there in the spring of my third year, and he was there for a trustees meeting, and we met someone, we got introduced, and he recruited me to come down to Houston. He was still coadjutor, but he had just been elected. He brought me down there, and I wanted nothing more than to have my own black church, that I could bring all this stuff that I learned, right? And he gave me Incarnation, which was in the north of Houston, in the city limits, but in the north. And in the spring of 1994, that's where I landed. Yep, and that was kind of, I thought that was, the only time, honestly, the only time I ever tried to strategize about a call was such a failure that I just stopped doing it.
What was that?
That was when I was at Incarnation, and my wife and I wanted to move, and I tried to apply for a parish in another diocese, and it was just not a great fit. And I just
another Texas diocese?
No. It was in Colorado, I think it was.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna stay out of that, and we'll see what happens. And it actually kind of turned out okay.
Mm-hmm. Let go and let God. And you met your wife while you were in seminary.
Yeah, my third year, the month before I graduated, we met in Las Vegas on an airplane. True story. I did my field work at a black Roman Catholic church in Oakland, which was the happening place to be. Can I tell you this story real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Are
you kidding?
So I did, second year, you get assigned somebody to field work. So I was assigned to this parish in San Francisco that was just deadly. I mean, it was just boring. And I remember thinking, and I had just also come from CPE that summer, where I was literally present when 12 people died. So you want to talk about heart kind of breaking open? So I was kind of a hot mess, my second year beginning.
Let me tell you something, I'm around seminarians all the time, and they go into CPE resenting having to go, and they come out changed.
Your brother too. I mean, I was like, whoa. So I was assigned to this parish. It was so boring that I just thought, if this is what the next 50 years is going to be like, I'm going to jump off of a building or something. I can't do this. And so I become, CSP used to be a part of a consortium with all these different seminaries.
Mm-hmm. That's right, yeah.
And I had been good friends with a couple of Jesuits. I was telling them that, guys, I don't think I'm going to make this. And they said, well, have you been to St. Columba's yet? I said, I don't know about it. What is it? They said, oh, you got to go. I said, this white priest, Catholic priest, went to Howard's Divinity School, got a degree in liturgy, came back to Oakland, and was doing his thing at St. Columba's, which was a black parish in Oakland. And they said, you got to check it out. It's just hot. It's the thing. So I had a week off, and I went, and I got to tell you, he was rocking. I mean, he had a jazz combo that did the music and a choir. I mean, it was the most alive thing. And so afterwards, I went up to the priest. His name was Father Paul, one of my other great mentors. I said, and I introduced myself, and I said, how would you feel about having an Episcopal seminarian? And he's obviously, you can tell by, he was kind of an opener. He was like, well, if you can get permission, sure, you bet. So I had to get permission from the professor, from the dean of the seminary, and from my bishop. And I think they all knew by that point that I was kind of a go his own way kind of guy. And they were like, okay, go for it. It changed my whole thing. Changed my whole relationship. It was so alive that I learned for the first time, I learned real evangelism. it was so exciting to go
What
there.
do you mean by evangelism?
It was so exciting that I used to say to people, like you and I were talking, I'd say, hey, you know what you should do on Sunday? You should go to this St. Columbus.
Okay.
It's this great place.
Okay.
And I was telling everybody, you gotta go see this.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was terrific. And he would let me preach. And I'm telling 1,200 people, this place was packed. He would let me preach Holy Week. He let me do anything I wanted to. It was terrific. It was absolutely terrific. And he and I became, matter of fact, he still comes and visits us in Arizona. He loves to go to spring training.
So you felt totally validated?
Yes. Yes. And it was just joyful. It was
Yeah.
a joyful place. And so it was with that experience that I ended up in Houston and wanted to kind of do something like that.
I see. But the story was Las Vegas.
Sorry, Vegas. So anyway, every after Easter, Father Paul and his buddy priest would always go on this.
Okay.
But no, it was the Roman Catholic version of the UBE, and they would go. It was in Vegas this year, and my third year. So they asked me if I wanted to go with them. So we flew down, and we left Oakland. Remember People's Express Airlines?
Of course.
So we went Oakland to Reno. This beautiful woman gets on Reno. It sits next to Father Paul, and we landed. And as soon as we land, we're waiting to take the train or whatever it is to the terminal. And he goes, "Oh, I got something. You got to meet this woman." So he introduces us, and this beautiful woman. And she's a lawyer like you, and I was there. I brought all my tennis gear. I was going to play tennis for a week. That was my thing. And I asked her out, and she said yes. We went out and got married 2 years later. And you got to hear her side of the story, by the way. Her side of the story is much, because you got to hear her response to me asking her out and saying, "I just got to see how this plays out." She was like, "What?" Right? With a bunch of Roman Catholic priests. But we got married 2 years later.
Socks rolling up and down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she was prepared to live a life of a clergy spouse.
Truth be told, neither of us knew what that was going to be.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't grow up in the church.
Right.
So neither one of us knew what that was going to mean, which meant we both went into it kind of plucky.
Okay. So she had no religious tradition either?
She grew up Methodist.
Okay.
But loosely Methodist. Yeah. But neither one of us really knew. We just knew that one of the things I would say that Paige taught me, and that we then sort of adopted, is we just say yes. We just say, if people invite us to something, we say, yeah, you bet. That's what we tried to do our first couple of years. And actually, probably we kept saying yes much longer than we should have into ministry. But yeah, we just say yes. I mean, we did so much stuff that we had never, like doing a square dance, going to the rodeo, because we were in Texas, right? And she's from Arizona originally. So we would just say yes to our parishioners. Would you come do this? Yep, you bet. Would you come do that? Yeah, you bet. We'd go. And I was trying to grow a church.
Yeah. How long were you in Houston?
4.5 years.
And then Detroit?
And then Detroit for 2 years at the cathedral. I was called to the staff of the cathedral. And then after 2 years, I got called to Christ Church, which is the oldest and biggest church in Detroit, downtown.
Oh, in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then after that, you went to Church of the
Christ Church of the Ascension in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Because Paige is a healthcare lawyer.
Okay.
She got called, as it were, to the Mayo Clinic to join their legal team, which is the Trinity Wall Street of healthcare lawyers. So I followed her out there. I didn't have a job. And after 6 months, this church, which is one of the wealthier cardinal parishes, my predecessor split the church. This is the time of Gene Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
And he Civil War, the congregation, half left and half stayed, and Bishop offered me the half that stayed.
Oh, good.
And I've never, till here, seen God work so powerfully in a place to right it. To right it.
By the way, you know that the Pope just agreed to.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
The world is still here. We can come to that.
Exactly.
Is your wife still involved with Mayo?
No, she retired a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a friend who's chairing the board of Mayo.
Oh, what's it?
Mike Powell.
Mike Powell. Yeah, she would know him.
Yeah.
Yep.
He loves it.
Yeah, they're the best. They are truly the finest healthcare system in the world. They used to be there for 8 years. They were my physicians, and the difference between everywhere else is night and day. Night and day.
Every year I have a Negro Christmas lunch,
Uh-huh.
and it's all telecom lawyers.
Oh, really?
Presently and formerly.
Uh-huh.
I've been doing it now for 30 years.
Wow. That's fun, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. How long were you in Arizona?
From 07 to 2015. So
Tell me a little bit about, give me those years again, I think.
07 to 15.
To 15,
Yep.
when you became vicar here.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned how God can work to heal. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the parish had been through a civil war. The first thing I did when I got there was I called the vestry together one evening, and I asked them to kneel around the altar at the communion rail. And I said, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. I want you to think about it. I want you to answer as a group. I said, number 1, do you know that a spirit of division has been given free rein through this place over the last 4 years? And they said, yeah. And I said, do you want it to stay? And they said, no. And I said, well, let's tell it to go, and let's ask Jesus to come back in. The place went like that. Just went like that. And then I called them all together on that next Sunday, and I said, from this moment, as soon as I'm done speaking, any talk of leaving the Episcopal Church is now done. I won't brook it. I won't listen to it. I won't entertain it. I won't affirm it. We are now done with that. And then I spent 6 months having people, taking people out, having people come to the office, and all I had to do was say, so what was that like for you? What was it like going through that? And they would talk, and I would listen. Yeah.
That's meeting with you.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me just check to see if let me see how much juice I have.
You need to plug it in?
No, I think we're okay. Let's go back to your decision to become an Episcopalian.
Mm-hmm.
What attracted you? You mentioned the priest,
Right.
and how sane he was.
Mm-hmm.
Liturgy?
Yes, very much so. Because that was something totally new to me. And the liturgy and the mysticism within the liturgy and the pattern of the liturgy, I
You mean
enjoyed.
the pattern?
Frankly, the repetition.
The cadence.
The cadence, yeah. I just loved that. I loved that. I loved the structure of it. And again, these are all these things like today, like I hear like, oh, we need to do this to attract more. And I want to say, actually, no. Like someone like me, it's the first time they encounter that sort of thing. They love that. Stick with it. It's a good thing. So yeah, it was all that. It was all that. I love just the beauty of it. I love the beauty of it. What I didn't love, and still don't, is the arrogance of this statement. Oh, well, you don't have to check your brain at the door in the Episcopal Church. I loathe that statement. Because if you take your average Episcopalian and say, so how many books of the Bible are there? Hamana. Or have you, like, what are the 4 Gospels? Can you give me some idea? Hamana. And yet we're the smart denomination. Yeah, sure, about the New York Times. But about the faith? Come on. So we need to leave that one.
Right, as our presiding bishop says, when you look up when you go home. Take your Bible up.
Exactly. So that never really impressed me because it was demonstrably false, right?
When did the opportunity come to go to New York?
In the fall of 14, my good friend Bill Lupfer, who had just been called as rector, called me up the day he got called and said, he would have called me in June. I was at Gethsemane Abbey in Kentucky, where I go with my friend Alan Robinson every year on retreat, where Thomas Merton was. And Bill called me up and he said, I got called as rector of Trinity. He said, would you come be my vicar? And I said, wow. And again, I said, yes. I just said yes. He's my good friend.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Did you ever do that?
In ways that I did not even begin to understand.
Talk to me.
I would have never, I didn't come with any expectation that I would be sitting here in this chair. Not in the least bit.
Allow me to, I'm looking at the camera, but I don't necessarily want this to be there now on the show.
The answer is no.
No. But you're saying yes. A point of personal privilege. I'm so very proud that you're here. I can't tell you how meaningful it is to all of us who have a touch of melanin in our skin that you were here, that Darren Walker is up the street before, that Elizabeth Alexander was at home.
Yeah.
How glorious and wonderful it is. And I want to thank you for accepting.
That's very gracious of you. Thank you. I don't see, it's funny, I never saw myself as kind of a pioneer for our people in that sort of way until the day of my institution.
When your voice caught,
The responsibility of this thing is no joke. It's no joke. And the added responsibility of being the first black rector is no joke. And I feel it acutely. Not in a bad way, but with a sense of pride and a sense of fear and trembling. Part of the problem is I have it's very difficult to allow people to know what it's like here. Even before, Trinity is a thing unto itself in many ways. It is. It just is within the church. There's almost nothing that prepares you for it. And so it's this unique thing, and I find myself in this role that has such a history that I feel like I just want to do it right and well, knowing what that means for us, for me, for my wife, and for the people that I serve, both on the staff and in the church and in our community. Like, I love New York. I mean, I'm a Chicagoan through and through, but I love New York, you know. And if you had told me that I would be able to help design a stained glass window that would be in Lower Manhattan for probably 100+ years, I'd have told you you're crazy, you know. And there it is. There it is.
When I'm reminded now of a moment when Barack Obama was at his inaugural prayer service at St. John's Lafayette Square, the first time. And all of the stars were downstairs, but the members were upstairs in the balcony. And I had a seat right at the corner, closest to the pulpit.
How cool.
So I could look over into, usually when he came, he sits in the middle of the nave, but that morning they sat in front, and I could look into his pew. One of the ministers, it's not Episcopalian, a black minister, his name escapes me, got up and sent up one of those prayers. This is your child. Strengthen him. Lift him up when he stumbles and falls. Give his shoulders that extra help. Before he prayed, he asked everyone around the president-elect to lay their hands on him. And you saw all these black and brown hands of every hue that we are. Mrs. Robinson never came responsible. When the sun was coming in through the east window, James Renwick east window. And I thought about the slaves that built the foundation on the walls of that church. And when you talk about the responsibility, a similar prayer emanates from me right now. How do you gain the strength to do this every day?
Number one is physical activity, exercise. Number two is surrounding myself with good people. Number three, and these are actually kind of reverse order, is my wife, Paige, who doesn't let me get away with very much. I would say also maintaining my friendships with people who knew me before, who have no dog in this. This means nothing to them. They're like, brother, please, come on. And just, I keep a sense of humor about it too, with the responsibility. Otherwise, it would just be gloomy. And then the big one is, I just keep saying yes. I keep saying yes. When he opens the doors, I just say yes. That's how we stay in touch.
Just keep saying it. And I heard you also speak of this awesome responsibility. 342-year-old church.
27.
You're in 27.
It was counting.
All right. I'll hate myself for that. And walking outside and seeing the needs
Yeah.
that not even the billions can begin to correct.
Exactly. We're very clear about that. I think one of the things actually, my senior team and I were talking about it just this morning, is I'm not ashamed about the money here, about the wealth. Not in the least bit. Because for me, what I try to tell people is, yes, we have it. But we also understand the responsibility that goes with it.
Which is what we call stewardship.
It's called stewardship. And as I also say ad nauseum around here, is that I feel that it's my job to not just use what God gave us. None of us, not me, not anyone, made this thing what it is, but to use it now for the needs of our day, and then to hand it off so that in 2070 they can meet the needs of their day. I make no bones about that, and I feel that like in the very core of my being, that it's both to do with it now and then to hand it off for the future.
How do you see your, both as the rector and as the head of the institution that is Trinity Wall Street, your role vis-a-vis the larger Episcopal Church of the United States and its responsibility?
Yeah. There are two particular areas that I have pulled out that are of interest to me. They may not surprise, they probably won't surprise you. One is education, so particularly seminary education. So our great gift, we have two great gifts here at Trinity. One is to convene people, and two is to fund things. So we along with the deans of Berkeley at Yale and Seminary of the Southwest, we have asked all of the deans of the Episcopal Church seminaries to stick around in January in Austin after their winter meeting. And then we've invited a handful of bishops and other major players with an interest in seminary education to meet, to join that group, and all of us to begin a dialogue to say, what are we going to do?
Yes.
What are we going to do with this thing? Because there's been no strategic group think about, I mean, you see us too. I mean, we bought the seminary, right? You got Virginia doing things. You got GTS. You got EDS now.
Yeah.
You got these changes happening.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about us coming into the seminary space with kind of like naive kind of children is like, we could kind of point things out and say, well, how come nobody's talking? How come no one's talking about what should happen or what the next steps are? Or no one's talking about it. So we'd like to begin that. My other big one is the Anglican communion. The Anglican communion has become a major priority for me. I feel that Anglicanism worldwide is a gift that we are not taking here. That is the witness of our brothers and sisters. We are not really listening to that because their witness is powerful.
Yes.
So, for example, when the Archbishop of Canterbury told me a couple of years ago that the statistical demographic average Anglican is a black woman in sub-Saharan Africa living below the poverty line with 2 or 3 children. Full stop.
Hello.
Full stop. That's the face of Anglicanism, okay? And we don't know that. And we get all excised about sexuality and that. I'm like, but she's the. So my one of the things I've started doing here is I was graced with helping John. You know John Peterson from the Cathedral?
Yes.
He's my 4th great mentor, John Peterson. John Peterson invited me to co-lead, and by co-lead, his flunky, because he's the one that knows everything.
Okay, all right.
To co-lead 2 groups, one once in 17 and then again in 19, of Anglican primates from around the world on a pilgrimage through the Holy Land. And I got to tell you, that was life-changing for me, because I got to meet all these primates from around the world. And the idea was, the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Secretary General asked us to do this pre-Lambeth, when it was supposed to happen in 2018. You remember that? It was supposed to happen in 18 and then or 19.
I don't recall.
And then got put off,
Yeah.
and then COVID, So the idea, though, was that we would bring together this disparate group of Anglican primates, theologically different places, geographically different places, experientially different places, that we would bring them together and take them through the Holy Land together. And hopefully with the idea that they would develop a bond, that when they got to Lambeth, they would be kind of 11, okay? It worked. The 2 classes we had, it worked, and it worked beautifully. And so I've stayed friends with all of them, really. And we've had so far, we've had South Africa, we've had Thabo out last March. And what we're doing is I'm trying to invite some of these people here to Trinity. They spend some time with us, meet our people. Our people get to meet them and find out what they're doing. And then we begin what I call walking together, so that we have because it turns out they're not that obsessed about money as we are. They'll take it if we give it to them, they're fine. But what many of them are more interested in is relationship with us and with the church in the West. They want to walk alongside so that they can learn from us and we can learn from what they're doing, because their churches are much more vibrant in many cases than ours is. So anyway, we've had South Africa, we've had New Zealand, the Maori Archbishop, Bishop Don Tamaheri out. We've had the Secretary General, the new one, Pogo, who's amazing. Have you met him yet?
No.
He's fascinating. We're going to have Toronto out this spring, and hopefully be able to get Bishop Marinez, the new AB in Brazil, out next fall. And the idea is, it's like to do this every couple times, 3 times a year, bring them out, and it's kind of fascinating. Oh, we also had, he's now retired, Dave Bailey from Navajo Land.
So, which raises the question of how concerned should we be? People are jumping up and down and wringing their hands and so on and so on, worried about the death of the church, that the church isn't as vibrant as it used to be, and our congregations are getting depleted left and right. But Episcopalians aren't we're not the only denomination.
We're not, but we are. I mean, in the United States, that's very true.
That is true. Should we be worried about that?
Yeah, we should actually, because
where to focus?
Because our thing, focus.
Okay.
Our thing, our particular witness to the Christian faith shouldn't go away. It should stick around. It saved my life. So I don't want it to die. But we need to focus a little bit. We need to focus.
I reminded someone the other day, I preached at a friend of mine who I've mentored became the rector of Calvary Church in Summit, New Jersey.
Okay.
So I went out to preach at his institution. And his sister said in a conversation with members of the church that how much the church is dying. And she said, there's no role for the church. And I said, let me remind you that on 9/11,
Yeah.
you could not find a seat in the church.
Right. And that longing of the human heart
Will not
never
die.
goes away.
It will not die.
It can't.
No. The things about the human spirit that are immutable.
Yes, and the need for meaning, the need the need to search for something that is larger than ourselves. We look for it in all different wrong places, but the impulse is part of who we are.
We've got to close this down now. Right, I'm sorry. But I promised.
Thank you.
I know.
No, it's.
All right, no, I got you. No. What have I not asked you that you wanted to be asked or you expected to be asked?
The state of the Black Episcopal Church.
Okay,
I thought you
go
would
ahead.
ask me more about that.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would. I just don't. I don't have the statistics the way I used to. But I would just say anecdotally, and that I wanted to talk to you about, and anyone who may watch this. And I'm just kind of curious that in '94, when I graduated from seminary, the UBE was still quite active, and there was the Union of Black Episcopal Seminarians, and there was a black desk at 815. Harold Lewis was there when I was in seminary, and just about every major city had a strong Black Episcopal church.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And I look at seminarians, the numbers seem to be down. So yeah, I mean, I have some speculations as to why that could be the case, but I think that there was a time when becoming an Episcopalian was social cachet for many black folks. I don't think that's true anymore.
I agree.
And so our younger black folks go to, so for example, look at Trinity. We have a generation above me who saved the church back in the 70s. They're West Indians who started coming to Trinity.
The immigrant public.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They brought their kids with them. Mm-hmm. Fast forward 40 years, 50 years, their kids don't go here. Their kids don't go. That are my age, they don't go here. They go, but the kids don't go. And I saw that in California. I saw that in Detroit. I saw that in Texas.
Are they going at all?
Yeah, they'll find some of the big black non-denominational churches or big Baptists or, the AMEs.
Alfred Street and
yeah. But they don't, in other words, there's no cachet for them to come to an Episcopal church anymore when the black power structure has kind of moved to some of those churches. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so I think
the Thurgood Marshalls aren't there.
They're not there.
The Spotswood Robinsons are not there.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. I think that's probably the biggest reason, and we don't like to talk about that, and white folks don't understand that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, it's an issue, and there are people like me who left St. Luke's, Washington, because they carried on so terribly there.
Right.
With a woman rector. I said, I
can't take it anymore.
I can't take it anymore.
Right.
I said, I'm going to the whitest church I can find. and I'm very happy. Thank you very much.
I would say, I wish you could come here on a Sunday sometime. This is the most racially diverse church in the Episcopal Church.
Because
it's New York. And because we make that space possible. And here's the thing.
But you could visit St. James is also New York.
Yeah. I would say one of the things I try not to say to our people, because then they get kind of self-conscious about it, is that we are the most diverse Episcopal church I've ever been in, and it's completely unself-conscious. Like we don't set out to, we need to get more of this to people or that. No, we really don't. We really don't. I think it's just you got to come. And
all right,
no. I would be interested.
Fine.
I would be interested to know what your experience is.
Absolutely. By the way, is Eric Eve still a member of the
Yes,
church?
he is.
Eric and I go back many years.
Oh, really? That's my man. Yeah, he was on the vestry until 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, because when we were looking for a new rector at St. John's,
Uh-huh.
I asked about Winnie.
Uh-huh.
She had already settled someplace else.
Yeah, no, Eric and I are very close.
Eric, please tell him I said hello.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Close. I love the whole family there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, in terms of the black church and the Episcopal Church, I think it's, and here's the other thing. I mean, I really don't ascribe to the, like, it's racism and white folks beating themselves over the breast. It's not. I'm sorry. I've served all over the country. It's not. It's just that it's not interesting to black folks, really. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not the
I
way it
guess
used
that's
to be.
right. I guess that's right. Today, but we're not so rare that we don't love the poetry
Right.
of the right
No.
one confession,
Yep.
manifold sins and wickedness. And I look at Mrs. Rutherford B. Sampson and wonder what wickedness she's got herself into.
But like I said, I mean, think these things kind of go like that. We'll see, but we need to stick around. We need to stick around.
And by the way, I asked Ian Markham if we had a relationship with the Trinity Wall Street.
Mhm.
He said, "Oh yes, generous."
Yeah, we've helped them quite a bit.
It surprises me that I'm still there,
Huh.
fooling around,
You love it. You're good at this.
producing plays. And things like that.
Uh huh.
Crazy. It's a good way to retire. Thank you so much.
What a treat.
This has been a treat for me.
Thank you.
You have no idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't know what to expect, and it's pleasant. It's very pleasant.
Okay. Nobody told you that. It's crazy.
No, we said, Phil, you get to talk about yourself.
That'd
be good.
All right, let me stop this now, and then I'll be out of your hair.